The NFL season is officially here and week 1 is in the books. So in today's video, I want to give you guys my reaction and biggest takeaways for week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Subscribe and like the video if you do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with our Thursday night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I have already done a full dedicated video for this game, so if you want to see a bigger breakdown, go ahead and check that one out. Make sure you finish this video first, though. I'll keep this one quick since I've already talked about it. I thought the Dallas Cowboys played very well. I thought offensively they looked really sharp. I love the creativity on offense. And I thought defensively speaking, they got better as the game went on. For the Philadelphia Eagles, I think defensively they cleaned some things up in the second half, but I still thought there was a lot of things open for Dallas. So Philadelphia has to answer some questions defensively. However, on the offensive end, I liked for the most part what I saw. I want to see them be a bit more aggressive and be a bit more calculated because I thought as the game went on, Dallas started to outcoach Philadelphia, but Philly ends up getting the win here. Big win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Then we had our Brazil game between the LA Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers would win this game 27-21 in what was not only a very fun game, but was also a very important game within this division. The Chargers are a team that have been so close to being able to potentially take over this division or end up being one of the better teams in this division. They've been so close to the likes of the Kansas City Chiefs, but pretty consistently, the Chiefs have just been able to make enough plays to find ways to win these games. And that was the case last year. And then it felt like it was going to happen again this year, but the LA Chargers made some things happen. They got the win here. Justin Herbert with a big day out there on the field. 25-34 for 318 and 3 touchdowns. Amari Hampton has been getting some criticism so far in the recent days because he was 15 for 48 and wasn't the most efficient. But I think when they do get Najee Harris back, the rushing attack will be better and Amari Hampton will get better. I'm not too overly concerned. What I'm very happy to announce, Quentin Johnston, 5 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ladd McConkey, 6 catches for 74 yards. And Keenan Allen with 7 catches for 68 yards. I'm liking this receiving core. They were consistently open. They were making plays on third down, big scores down the field. Really awesome stuff from this receiving core. And I think this Chargers offense looks really good. And the defense, Tyler Tart with a massive day. They got pressure on the quarterback. They were solid in coverage. I liked what I saw. Now on the flip side for the Kansas City Chiefs, a lot of things this team is going to have to improve upon. However, a lot of the flaws of this Chiefs team, we can't quite yet call it a flaw yet because they did not have Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy was out for basically the entire game. So without their top 2 receivers, they were still able to make enough plays. Hollywood Brown finished with 10 catches for 99 yards and Juju Smith-Schuster 5 for 55. I am very worried about this rushing attack. They did not want to run the football that much. Isaiah Pacheco only 5 carries. Kareem Hunt only 5 carries. Those guys combined for just 41 yards combined. Patrick Mahomes had 6 carries for 57 yards, but you want other running backs to step up. And in this specific game, none of those guys did so. It took a little bit for this offense to get going, but once they did get going, it felt like they were consistently getting back into the game. Mahomes had a nice day. I thought he made enough plays on the field. Travis Kelce made the big touchdown catch, but outside of that was a little bit quiet on the day. Defensively speaking, there was a lot of things open for the Chargers. Now, they were able to stuff the run quite well, and they were able to get after Herbert here and there, but nobody had success on Joe Alt, and I don't know. It just felt like a very untypical Chiefs game. Now, moving forward, I'm not worried about the Chiefs. They'll get some of their guys back and they'll play better. But it is worth noting that they lost this game. They're now 0-1 in the division, and the LA Chargers look really good after that one. But then we get to our noon games. We're going to start off with the biggest blowout of the week, the Indianapolis Colts beating the Miami Dolphins 33-8. Now I'm going to start off with the positive side of things, and then we'll talk about the Miami Dolphins because boy, there needs to be a conversation about that team. Let's start off with the Colts. Daniel Jones cooked. All right. You guys have seen my channel. You guys know that I have been very big on Anthony Richardson. I thought AR should start. AR, this and that. Daniel Jones keeps me quiet for at least 1 week. He was 22 for 29 for 272 passing yards and 1 touchdown. He also ran the ball 7 times for 26 yards and an additional 2 touchdowns on top of that. They ran the ball effectively with both Jonathan Taylor and DJ Giddens. Passing the football, Michael Pittman Jr. had a big day. Tyler Warren, 7 catches for 76 yards. Really looks like a comfort piece for Daniel Jones. And they got the ball to a number of different guys. Offensive line played great. They scored on every single possession, which I heard on Red Zone is like an all-time record. So shout out to Daniel Jones. And defensively, I mean, they dominated. They got after the quarterback. They forced turnovers. I loved the corner blitzes on the blind side of Tua. They consistently got home. They just made enough plays, and they shut out the Miami Dolphins, who have some playmakers on the outside. Now the Miami Dolphins. Listen, this was about as bad of a start as you could have ever imagined. Turnovers, poor offensive line play, inability to run the football consistently. Tua Tagovailoa looking abysmal out there on the field, and a game plan that just was not good at all. Look, I'm not here to throw this team out quite yet, but I'm really, really close. I'm going to give them one more week, but if they get beat up next week too, I think you fire your head coach immediately. And I think you start looking at the possibility of getting off of a Tyreek Hill, even a Jalen Waddle, and maybe even Tua Tagovailoa. This is a Dolphins team that feels so handicapped to just be mediocre and not great. And it felt like this game was a big wake-up call to not just Miami, but to every single fan out there that thinks the Miami Dolphins will be good, because clearly they're not going to be good. This was an ass kicking from start to finish. I had the Colts winning, but I did not have the Colts blowing out the Miami Dolphins. This was surprising. Speaking of surprises, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets in kind of a shootout. 34-32, the Pittsburgh Steelers win. And I did have the Steelers winning, but I had them winning in a much closer contest. I'm talking like a one possession game with less than 20 points as the highest. And no, both these teams went for over 30, and it's one of the highest scoring games of the entire week, which is just so weird to say. I guess I can kind of talk about this in sort of a whole game picture. Or, Justin Fields played great. Aaron Rodgers played even better. Aaron Rodgers, 22 for 30 for 244 and 4 touchdowns. Justin Fields, 16 of 22 for 218 and a touchdown. Also 12 carries for 48 yards and 2 additional touchdowns there. Neither quarterback threw an interception. Both quarterbacks played well. I think there's certain things you can take away from this game, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defensively, you cannot allow Justin Fields to get 32 points and have maybe his best game of his entire career. You just can't have that if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they did make enough plays as the game went on, but man, they got kind of exposed out there. So I'll keep my eye on that one. It would be really unfortunate for the Steelers team to have a functional offense and the defense takes a step back. If this team wants to make that playoff run, they need both sides to play very well. For the past few years, it's been an awesome defense and a terrible offense. Now it looks like the Steelers have an offense, but can the defense play up to their normal standard? I think they will, but in this game, they did not. Now, on the Jets side of things, yes, you took the L, but a lot of people had the Jets as a potential number 1 pick candidate in the 2026 NFL draft. And after this week, I don't think that's going to happen. The offense looked functional. Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields have a great connection. I thought Justin Fields played great. The rushing attack with Breece Hall was very good this game. I thought Aaron Glenn called a great game defensively, even though they really couldn't stop Aaron Rodgers. They made enough plays out there. They really did a good job of stuffing the run. They got after Rodgers here and there, made life a little bit difficult, but credit to Rodgers, he made enough plays on the field. But specifically on the offensive end, I liked what I saw from the Jets team, really working to the strengths of Justin Fields and the personnel on the offensive end. A downhill rushing attack, not letting Justin Fields go through these long progressions, these long reads, giving him a lot of easy dink and dunks down the field, and occasionally it would give him some shots. And when Justin Fields was asked to go through his progression and make some plays off script, he did a very good job. So I thought this was a great game for both these teams. If you're a Jets fan, you probably feel so much better about your team, even though you lost this game. And for Jets fans, look, you're not going to make the playoffs. You're not going to win a Super Bowl, but 6 or 7 wins this year and a couple of draft picks these next couple of years, this team can be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to what Justin Fields and Rodgers look like the rest of the season, because hopefully this was not just a big redemption game for both these guys where they both play out of this world. Hopefully both these quarterbacks can keep it up. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars blowing out the Carolina Panthers 26-10. This game just was sort of weird. There was a big weather delay going on in the game, and Bryce Young just never looked that comfortable. At one point in the game, he was like, I think he had 50 yards through the first half or through the majority of the game. He finished the day 18 of 35 for 154, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. They didn't run the ball that effectively. Chuba Hubbard, 16 for 57. Rico Dowell, 3 for 12. Passing the football, shout out Ted McMillan, 5 catches for 68 yards. But aside of that, it felt like this was a quarterback who was missing his safety blanket, and for the past couple years it's been Adam Thielen. They traded him away, which I still find to be a little bit confusing as to why they did so, because he was such a reliable target for Bryce Young. Regardless though, the offense played really bad. Bryce Young was under a lot of pressure throughout the day. He was sacked. Well, he was only sacked one time, but there was a couple times where it felt like there was a lot of pressure around him. One fumble lost, 2 interceptions thrown. I'll give him credit, only 4 penalties compared to Jacksonville's 11 penalties. Part of the reason why Jacksonville only scored 26 was the penalties. But yeah, if you're a Carolina fan, the offense played bad, the defense played really bad, and just not a great way to start your season off. Not saying you give up on the Panthers yet, but to anyone who thought the Panthers were going to make the playoffs, it's not going to happen. Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 19 of 31 for Trevor Lawrence, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. The numbers are not flashy, but I thought Trevor looked really good out there. Now, I do want to say, they're going up against the Carolina Panthers, so it wasn't that great. But there's a lot of things they could have done better, and they could have really put a beating on the Panthers. Again, 11 penalties. You had the interception. Travis Etienne, by the way, 16 for 143 yards. Nice day for him. Not a lot of Tank Bigsby. Maybe want to see a bit more of him out there. I want to see more of Brian Thomas Jr. You can't go a day of him just 1 catch for 11 yards. That just simply put cannot happen. Travis Hunter, 6 for 33. I want to get BTJ the ball a lot more. Brenton Strange, cool, 40 for 59, but you got to give the ball to BTJ. It's a positive day for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get the win. You look comfortable. You never really had this game in much doubt. You made Bryce Young look bad. The defense played really good, which is a positive sign for this team, because if this Jaguars team wants to make the playoffs, they have to have a functional defense that maybe ends up somewhere in the top, I don't know, 18 or 19 or so. And if they can get that from this defense, paired up with an offense that's actually going to be playing really well, let's work on the penalties. Let's clean up some of these other things. Let's get the ball to BTJ. Then I think the Jacksonville Jaguars could be in for a big season. As for Carolina, yeah, it's not looking very good. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals get a sneaky win versus the New Orleans Saints. They barely won this game, and if you guys have been watching my predictions, I'm pretty sure I had the Arizona Cardinals really handily winning this game, but they didn't do so. This was a game where I felt like the Arizona Cardinals almost like slept through it in a way. It just felt like they never could really take the baton and run away with it. This was a game where I really wanted to see Arizona just beat down on a Saints team that has questions at quarterback, questions littered throughout the roster, and they did not do so. They were never able to really put it all together. You know, Kyler, 21 of 29 for 163 and 2 touchdowns. I'll give him credit. No turnovers. It wasn't like he played horrendous or anything. But this is a Saints team with very little talent, and I want to see you take advantage of that. They didn't quite do so. They did run the ball effectively with Trey Benson, but not really much with James Conner. James Conner was 12 for 39 yards, not really that great. And even for Trey Benson, he had a big carry that really helped out his total. Marvin Harrison Jr., though, 5 for 71 for a touchdown. Trey McBride, 6 for 61. That's really good. That is really good stuff. If we can keep these numbers going and have it be consistent throughout the season, then okay, I feel pretty good about it. As for Cardinals defense, I thought there were some plays they made. I like seeing Will Johnson get on the field. I thought they made enough plays. Look, you gave up only 13 points. Even if the Saints are a bad offense, I thought they did their job. As for the Saints side of things, I think you have to feel okay with the way the game went. You know you're not going to make the playoffs. You might end up with the #1 pick, but Spencer Rattler made some plays. You had the ball late with a chance to tie the game, and you had some opportunities out there. You just couldn't quite connect. You still have Alvin Kamara. You still have Chris Olave. Juwan Johnson had a nice day. Rashid Shaheed had a nice day. Like, there's a number of pieces on the offensive end to keep your team afloat, but there's still a lot of work to be done. This is far from a complete roster. Defensively speaking, I thought they did their job. You held Arizona to only 20 points. You kept your offense in it, and no turnovers in this game. I thought that was really good. Penalties, though. 13 penalties for 89 yards. You simply put cannot have 13 penalties. Now, on the flip side, Arizona did have 9. So neither one of these teams can have that. Let's clean that up. Let's be a bit more efficient on third down. Only 5 for 14 for New Orleans. And I think New Orleans might pull off a win here and there. Next up, maybe the most boring game of the week, the NFC East matchup between the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders win 21-6. This was a boring game because the Giants offense couldn't really do anything. Now, if you guys watched my watch along live stream, we did have some conversations about whether or not they should potentially put in a Jackson Dart a bit earlier to jumpstart this offense. I even suggested the idea of sticking with the veteran in Jameis Winston, who can at least give you some fun plays here and there to give this offense some life. They stuck it out with Russell Wilson, and look, I don't want to put a lot of the blame on Russ because I felt like the offensive line did not play great. I thought the rushing attack was bad, and I thought the play calling was a bit questionable too. But I give Russ some slack a little bit here. A lot of things were working against him, and he still was able to keep the offense, I guess, afloat. They were very unbalanced. I mean, Tyrone Tracy, 10 carries for 24 yards. Cam Scadaboo, 2 for -3. Devin Singletary for 3 for 9. Russell Wilson was actually their leading rusher, 8 for 44. So, Malik Neighbors got going. Wando Robinson got going. Offensive line has to get better. That's something they're going to have to continue to work on the next couple years. I feel like it's just a matter of time for the New York Giants till they eventually go ahead and move on to a different quarterback. As for the defense, I thought they made enough plays to keep the game, somewhat competitive. 3 sacks they let on or put on Washington. Washington got killed with penalties, 12 for 89. But the Giants just really could never convert or anything. They were able to go down occasionally, but never able to score when they got into the red zone. It was constant field goals and just missed opportunities. 4 for 16 on third down. Just a bad day for the Giants offense. Defensively, they held Washington mostly in check, but it felt like at some point the water gates were coming out, and eventually it did. As for Washington, look, Jaden Daniels, 19 for 30 for 233, 11 carries for 68 yards. I don't know what a sophomore slump is. This guy's just that freaking good. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 10 carries for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. Austin Eckler, 6 for 26. We'll see how the split between these two continues to go. For now, Ja'Cory gets 10, Eckler gets 6. We'll keep an eye on that one. Deebo Samuel, 7 receptions for 77 yards. Terry McLaurin, 2 for 27. Good to see Deebo get some work out there. It feels like there is sort of a comfort between Jaden Daniels and Deebo Samuel, and they used him in a variety of fun packages too, so he got a touchdown off of it, obviously. So I'm interested to see what this Commanders team can continue to do on the offensive end. As for the defense, this was really not a challenge. Neighbors did do some things positively, but there was no rushing attack for the Giants. The Washington Commanders did a great job of stuffing that. And in the passing game, if you could eliminate Neighbors, then somebody else had to beat you. And Wandell made some plays, but it wasn't going to be enough. So Washington got the job done here. They take 1-0 within the division, and they got more work to be done. Next up, one of the more fun games, the Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. This game took a little bit to get going. It felt like both these teams were stuck in some mud for a while there, but towards the back end of the game, it really got going. Both these offenses really picked up. Ultimately, the Buccaneers do pick up a huge win, 23-20. I think these two teams are going to be really close throughout the season. I'll start off with the Falcons side of things because I do question their thought process of not starting Penix in any preseason game. I really feel like they kind of missed out on some chances to get him a bit more comfortable. He did have a good day though. 27 of 42, 298, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He played pretty clean football, and they had nothing in the run game. Bijan, 12 for 24. Tyler Algier, 10 for 24. Michael Penix Jr. with 6 carries was almost their leading rusher with 21 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he was the best average-wise. So they really had nothing going in the rushing attack, but Michael Penix Jr. kept them afloat. I just would have liked to have seen him play earlier in the preseason because then maybe he could have instantly stepped into this game and balled out immediately because he had some comfort already, but they didn't do so. The leading rusher for today was Bijan. Drake London missed out on some of the later drives in the game. Maybe that's why they lost, maybe not. He still had 8 catches for 55. Kyle Pitts, 7 for 59, had a nice day too. Now, the Falcons had an opportunity late to win this game. Penix made a number of plays later in this game, but without Drake London, they were very handicapped. They just had a hard time really scoring. And unfortunately for them, the missed field goal late in the game was just sort of a backbreaker. Koo missed a really makeable field goal. I think it was somewhere in the 40s. He misses it. This game should have went to overtime. It did not do so. As for the defense for the Falcons, I thought they made some plays early on, but when it mattered most, late in the game, they let the Buccaneers get going. So, bit unfortunate there, but this Falcons team is going to be good. They're going to be a really good team. As for the Buccaneers side of things, their offense felt very stagnant at times. They couldn't run the ball effectively, which feels like a moral of the story for this week. Passing the football wise, it was a little hit and miss sometimes. Baker Mayfield, 17 for 32 for 167. 3 touchdowns, though. By the way, 2 of those to Emeka Egbuka. Great job for the young guy. But yeah, they just couldn't run the ball that effectively. Passing the football, it was hit and miss, but when it hit, it really did hit. Mike Evans, 5 for 51. Emeka, 4 for 67 and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, they did some nice things. Son Reddick did get a sack on the day. They were able to force a number of punts. 6 for 15 for Atlanta on third down, so good job for the Buccaneers. Just a lot of, first game things that need to be cleaned up here. By the way, Atlanta, you got to get those 4th downs, 2 for 4. 2 big losses there. So close game. These two teams are going to be neck and neck the rest of the way. So I'm looking forward to this battle in the future. Moving on to the Bengals versus the Browns. This game was way too close for comfort for the Cincinnati Bengals. Frankly, the Browns were the better team today. Joe Burrow, 14 of 23 for 113 yards and 1 touchdown. This is even shocking to me. Jamar Chase, 2 catches for 26 yards. Their leading receiver was T. Higgins, 3 catches for 33 yards. That's not it. That is not it at all. But it is a positive to take away here. The Bengals defense did get the job done. They forced some turnovers, they got some pressure, they did enough things. But it is the Cleveland Browns. If this was any team in the NFL, not named Cleveland or Miami at this stage, the Bengals lose this game. They simply put cannot have another game like this on the offensive end. They did not run the ball effectively. Chase Brown, 21 for 43 and a touchdown. Give them that. They can't have this day offensively. They were soundly outplayed on the offensive end. Here are these numbers. It is insane to hear. Bengals, 141 total yards, 95 passing, 46 rushing. Cleveland, 327 total yards, 278 passing, and 49 rushing, so just 3 more. They couldn't run the ball either. But what kept them in this game, those interceptions. Those 2 interceptions were massive. By the way, neither one of them was like a huge fault of Joe Flacco. They were both tipped passes that got flung up in the air, and Cincinnati just got lucky to get those. So I'll give them that, but I don't know. If I'm a Bengals fan, this was not the game I wanted to see. This was a great opportunity. You've been playing in the preseason so well. You're going up against a bad Cleveland team. Go out there, put belt to ass. Joe Burrow, go crazy for multiple touchdowns. Jamar Chase, have a day. It just didn't happen. I don't know if it was just they couldn't get in rhythm. They couldn't run the football. The offensive line was bad. I don't know. This was a bad day. This offensive line, by the way, was not good. 3 sacks allowed, but it could have been a whole lot more. As for the Browns, I mean, the loss was expected, but with the way the game went, you would have liked to have seen Cleveland win this game. They were the better team out there on the field today, but they did not obviously win the game. The fact you only scored 16 points when basically doubling their total yardage, doubling their passing yards, you kept Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to 5 total catches and 0 touchdowns, and you had Joe Burrow throw for less than 150, and you still lost the game. Joe Flacco, 31 of 45 for 290 and a touchdown. 2 picks, though, and those 2 picks were crucial. They could not run the football. Dylan Sampson, 12 for 29. Jerome Ford, 6 for 8, just not able to get going. Judy had 5 catches for 66 yards, but I believe he had a major drop. Dylan Sampson, 8 for 64. Good job by him. Cedric Tillman, 5 for 52 and a 1 touchdown. Harold Fannin, 7 for 63. They got some weapons, it seems like, so that's pretty good. Defensively, Myles Garrett with 2 sacks. You got to give him that. Isaiah McGuire with 1 sack. I thought Mason Graham, Carson Schwessinger also looked pretty good. It's just, it's a shame that it feels like it was a wasted effort from the defense because the offense just couldn't get it going when they needed to. It was just so frustrating. On 4th down, 2 for 3, 9 for 16 on 3rd down. 2 sacks allowed. Those 2 turnovers were so costly. 7 penalties. It's the little things for the Browns. They got a lot of work to do. But the Bengals won, and I guess that's all that matters. Bengals fans, you let me know what you're thinking because I would not be feeling that good. Now, the last game of our noon slate, we had the Patriots versus the Raiders. Now, I try to tell you guys, everyone was roasting me in my predictions video when I had the Raiders winning this game, but I think my opinion kind of came true here. My opinion was I was going to go with the more experienced team because they would be able to convert on 3rd down, they would convert in the red zone, and they would just not ever be panicking because they have a veteran head coach and a veteran quarterback. Yes, the Patriots have a veteran head coach, but they have a very young and very much developing quarterback. So there was some issues there. On the day, really a lot of penalties, 18 combined from both sides, 9 for Las Vegas for 81, 9 for New England for 70. Neither team really was that good on 3rd down. I guess the Raiders were somewhat better, 5 for 13 for them, New England 4 for 14. 1 interception thrown for both sides. I mean, both sides were pretty evenly matched in time of possession. Yardage-wise, it's pretty split down the middle. It just kind of happened to be that the veteran leadership of the Raiders allowed them to go down and score when they needed to. Geno Smith, 24 for 34 for 362, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Genty, 19 for 38 with 1 touchdown. They got to get Genty going. They have got to get Genty going. They spent a high draft pick on him. You cannot get less than 50 yards out of your running back, especially on 19 carries. But what they were not able to get in the rushing game, they got plenty in the passing game. Brock Bowers had a great day. Jacoby Myers, pay that man. Great day. Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton, Michael Mayer, even Jack Besh got a catch. A lot of guys got catches out there. Defensively, shout out to a lot of guys. They sacked the quarterback. Tyree Wilson with the sack. Jonah Lalu got a sack as well. Malcolm Kuntz, Max Crosby. Excellent job at getting after the quarterback today. They had 4 total sacks. Granted, Patriots also had 4 sacks too. Kind of one of those days. So shout out to the Raiders. They get the win here. This was a good win. I still don't think the Raiders are playoff contenders, but they proved they're a functional team that deserves to be respected. As for the Patriots, the offensive line did not play very well. Could not run the football. Drake May was running for his life quite often. big interception, 30 for 46 for Drake May, 287, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I think if you were to ask Mike Vrabel, does he want Drake May throwing the football 46 times? He probably would say no. So that's one of those things. Kayshon Boutte, big day. Hunter Henry, big day. Stephon Diggs, big day. They were able to pass the football effectively, but again, penalties, quarterback getting sacked, a lot of pressure, having to throw the ball away a lot. A lot of things didn't go well. Now, defensively, they made some plays. Harold Landry, 2.5 sacks on the day. Jalen Hawkins had a sack and an interception as well. So defense did their job. 2 for 3 on field goals. You got to make those field goals. Field goals are so critical, and they were not able to convert on some of those. So if you're a Patriots fan, just be patient. Drake May is going to need a lot of time, and this Patriots team is still developing. The offensive line needs time and more players as well. Next up, we have our afternoon games. Now, before we get to these afternoon games, if you do enjoy, hit the like and subscribe button. I will not be able to talk about our Sunday night football game nor our Monday night football game because I'm recording this right after the Denver Broncos and Titans game. So yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to talk about those games, but maybe I'll put a community post out. So keep an eye on my community post if you want to see my reactions to those games. 49ers versus Seahawks. The 49ers managed to pull off the win here, 17-13. And I thought that the Seahawks were going to win this one, and I guess I was wrong. I'm a little bit disappointed with that. To start off with the 49ers side of things, because it wasn't that pretty. They get the win, which is all that matters, but when you actually sit down and watch the game, Purdy was okay. The 2 interceptions were bad plays, but he was 26 for 35, 277, and 2 touchdowns. Clean up the interceptions, and I feel a lot better about his day. McCaffrey, 22 for 69. Big workload for him. Not necessarily the most efficient day, but he made some plays out there. Ricky Pearsall, 4 catches for 108. Christian McCaffrey, 9 for 73. A lot of work for McCaffrey on this one. Defensively speaking, Nick Bosa had a sack. They were able to put some pressure on Sam Darnold. I almost said Geno Smith, but Sam Darnold. One of the things about the Seahawks team that I keep talking about is once you get them off their track, if you can stuff the run early on first down and force them to pass the ball on third down, they just don't have the downfield weapons outside of JSN that could seriously win. And that's kind of what ended up happening here. For the 49ers, look, you beat a good team, but I don't think you're feeling good. It was nice to see McCaffrey have a big workload, and you're just so banged up. Kittle, he was out for most of the game. No IU, you're missing a bunch of guys all over the field, but you still won the game. As for the Seahawks, this is a huge missed opportunity. You had plenty of chances to score, but you really just could not do so. 2 fumbles lost on the day. And your time of possession was 22-37 for San Francisco. Really poor on third down, 30%, 3 for 10. A lot of punts. You know, again, it's just one of those things where if you can push the Seahawks team, if you can make them work, and if you could take away their first and second downs and force third and longs, it's not going to be very difficult. They did not run the football well, neither Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet a little bit better, but not that much better. 12 for 47 for Zach. Kenneth, 10 for 20. Shout out JSN, who had a big day. I mean, he was one of the only guys on the offense that was awake, but I think he did have a fumble, which is not good. 9 receptions for 124 yards regardless. They had the ball late with the chance to score. They did not. San Francisco gets the win here. Big win for San Francisco, and for Seattle, you got to win this one. San Francisco played bad, and they still won. Also, one more note for the Niners game. Kicker. Make your damn field goals. Block, for God's sake. If you just made the field goals, this game would have been a blowout. Next up, I have the Denver Broncos versus the Tennessee Titans. A game to me that was way too close for comfort, but ultimately the Broncos defense just did a really good job of strangle holding this really young quarterback in Cam Ward. Cam Ward, not the greatest day, but he's going up against an excellent defense, and the offensive line for Tennessee gave him a lot of fits. They just could not get anything going. But the Tennessee Titans defense did a lot of nice things out there to keep them in this game. Bo Nix, pretty inconsistent, 25 of 40 for 176, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Both interceptions were not pretty. They ran the ball somewhat effectively, both Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. Cortland Sutton had a nice day. Troy Franklin had a nice day. If you're Bo Nix, though, the 2 picks, you just got to clean that up. You simply cannot have that. Cam Ward, 12 for 28, 112 yards, very inefficient day. They ran the ball somewhat effectively, 18 for 60. I want to see more production from Calvin Ridley, only 4 for 27. I like A.O. Maynard. It'd be nice to get more from him, but, you know, you got to give credit to the defense for keeping them in this game. This was always a super tough task, but ultimately they did get a sack. They forced 3 punts. 4 turnovers for Denver. Cannot happen. That has to be cleaned up for Denver. This felt like a very uncharacteristic Broncos game, where the Broncos defense, perfect. Great all day. 6 sacks on the day, forced 8 punts, 2 fumbles lost. They did their job. Broncos on the offensive end, about as bad as you could have gotten. It was just not good. 6 of 15 on third down, 319 total yards, 4 turnovers. That simply put cannot happen. You're going up against a terrible Tennessee Titans team, though, that reworked their offensive line, but boy, that offensive line got killed out there in this one, which is not shocking. Denver has a great defensive line, but yeah, Tennessee, it's going to take some time. Only 7 first downs, 2 for 14, but hey, they had a chance to win the game late. Couldn't do so. Denver, clean up the turnovers, play better, don't be stupid. If you want to find a way to either win the division or go late into the playoffs, you got to clean that stuff up. Next up, the most shocking game of the day. Green Bay puts belt to ass on the Detroit Lions. It was 27-13, but I do want to mention that Isaac Tesla made one of the greatest catches of all time late in the game. Green Bay would have beaten them even more. This game was weird, man. It was a weird game. It felt like Detroit, they had these super long drives that really felt like they amounted to nothing most of the time. They won the time of possession, but just they couldn't convert. 13 points on the day, multiple field goals. And when they had their offensive success, but you had an interception, you had to settle for field goals, not able to run the ball at all. Both your guys combined for, I think, 44 yards on the day. Really ineffective rushing attack for the Detroit Lions. And passing the football, Jared Goff, I thought, had a fine day, but the interception was pretty bad. A lot of pressure was put on Jared Goff throughout the day. 4 sacks for the Green Bay Packers. Whereas for the Packers side of things, the Detroit Lions were like no match for that offense for whatever reason. They on paper should be able to match him, but they ran the ball well. Jordan Love had a great day. Matthew Golden really was a non-factor, 2 for 16, but you had like 6 dudes who all had 2+ catches, so they were able to kind of get away with it. And defensively, they dominated. Not really Micah Parsons. Micah only had a sack late in the game. Really, it was just everyone else. Lucas Van Ness had maybe his best game of his career. Rashawn Gary, 1.5 sacks. And I sort of wonder if maybe this is the effect of having a guy like a Micah Parsons, where you have to put so much attention to one player, where you're constantly double teaming him, that it leaves Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary and all these other guys with one-on-ones. Not sure if that's the case, but it's pretty interesting to at least think about it. In the secondary, they did a great job too. Occasionally, they would get beat a little bit deep or in the intermediate routes, but when they had to, they made plays, they stuffed them in the red zone, forced field goals. A lot of pressure was put on Jared Goff throughout the day. They stuffed the run very well. This Packers team, if they play like this, and if one of their receivers can step up, this Packers team is legit. They are easily one of the best teams in the NFC. And this Lions team, they got to figure it out really quick. That offensive coordinator has got to get it right. They have to run the football better. This was inexcusable to run the ball for less than 50 yards with the amount of volume they put running the football in Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. It has to get cleaned up. The offensive line, the center play, has to get better. And the last game we'll talk about was a very low scoring but fun game here, 14-9 in favor of the LA Rams. A lot of sloppy play from both sides on this one, primarily the Houston Texans. Offensive line for Houston is just not good enough right now. You have to be able to convert when you get into plus territory. They were not able to do so. They had to kick a couple field goals. It's nice to get points on the board, but you have to be able to convert. I thought Stroud was okay. 19 for 27 for 188, 0 touchdowns, but a pick. They also had a fumble lost, 11 penalties for 80 yards. Can't have that. 2 for 9 on third down. Only 18 first downs for both sides. Really poor offensive play, but Houston had chances late to win the game. Offensive line was not good enough. They could not run the football effectively. Nick Chubb, 13 for 60. It was fine, but outside of that, nothing, no other production elsewhere. You had the fumble too. The receivers, none of them really stepped up, which is weird because you have a number of great receivers, but none of them really made any big time plays, at least consistently. And defensively, the Texans did their job. They forced some turnovers. They got some sacks. They put pressure on Matthew Stafford. They did their job. They held him to 14 points. It just kind of came down to LA converted touchdowns and Houston kicked field goals. If Houston turns one of those drives into a touchdown drive, this game is completely different. That's not what ended up happening. They kick field goals, the Rams convert. A lot more penalties for the Houston Texans, and yeah, it's kind of the moral of the story. A lot of work to be done for both these two teams. These are two teams that want to contend for championships. If they want to contend for championships, both these teams have to play a whole lot better, but we'll wait and see. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts after week 1 of the NFL season? And if you enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.